feedback techniques in your daily life. Use constructive evaluation to help someone improve their performance. And offer support to empower them to change. 5 to 7 minutes. And the assignment, you probably should know, is select a partner from your club and together choose a scenario to role play 3 to 5 minutes. You will play the role of feedback facilitator, and your partner will be the person who is receiving feedback. All right, Rahul. Oh, and the speech is called Forward to the Past.
Thank you. The light before we start.
That's pretty good.
No?
No?
That's good.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Fellow
No, it's fine, I
Toastmasters, as the Deputy Secretary of the Interior, it is my wonderful privilege to be able to visit a large number of national parks and monuments in our nation. Part of my job involves touring the parks, meeting with the park services, listening to the recommendations, and providing my feedback. My personal feedback style involves highlighting and praising the accomplishments and then providing a few suggestions for future enhancements. Last week, I had the opportunity to spend 2 beautiful sunny days at the Petrified National Forest in Arizona. This is truly a gem, and it shows you how the continental divide took place over 200 million years ago. At the park, I met with the Park Services team led by Park Superintendent Shah. Siddharth is here today to listen to my review and evaluation of the work his team has been doing at this vast 230 square mile park or geological playground. Siddharth, why don't you come up and join me?
Good afternoon.
Siddharth, I was really very impressed with the installation that you have done at the park over the recent past. And I'd like to highlight 3 of the areas that stood out to me. Firstly, the Rainbow Museum at the park entrance does an outstanding job at explaining the origins of the park, of the Petrified Forest. The exhibits and the movie make it easy for anyone to understand how the Petrified Forest, which is in Arizona today, was once at the equator close to Costa Rica. It had warm tropical, subtropical climates surrounded by large conifers, swamps, and reptiles. And as the logs fell into the water, instead of decomposing, they would absorb the minerals, the silica, the quartz, and over time solidify into these beautifully colored logs that look like a painter's palette with a mosaic of earthly tones. The specimens that you have at the museum entrance, which have been polished, really indicate that today there is no wood left in these. It's just the iron and the manganese and the quartz. Let's take a look at some of these photographs.
And yes, to complement the museum, we have created a trail through the heavily populated area of petrified logs. This will give the visitors a chance to see some of the best examples of petrified logs and petrification.
I think that's a great introduction to anyone who enters the park to see what they would find at other points of interest within the park. The second addition that you made, which I thought really brings home the history of the park, are the trails that you made through the Pueblo ruins. The Pueblo ruins are those ruins of a village that was created by the earliest inhabitants of the park about 2,000 years ago. The Pueblo Indians, it really illustrates how the Pueblo Indians lived and designed in these intricately designed villages. Lastly, I really loved the trails that you created within the bentonite mounds. Now, the clay mounds. Sorry, these are the pictures which are the ruins. And then as we get into the bentonite clay mounds, the trails here were really outstanding. It was almost like walking through a different planet altogether, one of those that you see in the Star Wars movies. And as the colors of the striations changed as the sun shifted position, that was absolutely fascinating. I even looked at some of the visitors at the park, and all of them, of all ages, were enjoying themselves and had something that would intrigue each and every person. Great job on that.
Thank you. We actually plan on extending the trail to the back of the dunes where the topography changes dramatically. This will give the visitors a chance to see two very different kinds of landscapes.
That's a great idea, and I'd love to come back and experience the extension. So now I have a couple of suggestions and questions for you. The petrified forest definitely is an educational hotbed for school children. Have you considered creating educational programs or camps for our youth?
Yes, we have. We're actually we're contacting the Arizona school systems to see if we can set up winter camps. This will possibly be done by 2019.
Excellent. Let me know if I can help. Secondly, I did not see any campsites in the park. Do you think we could increase visitor attendance by including or introducing camping facilities?
That is a great suggestion and would definitely help. The only problem we have right now is the lack of funding, which will
Well, I think I can help you there. If
Okay.
you can send me a proposal, I will take it to the local municipalities who I think will be willing to contribute because it will benefit them and it'll also help us get federal funding. Lastly, I really think we need to step up the advertising and marketing of the park. The Grand Canyon, which is just close by, 1.5 hours away, has attendance of over 5 million people a year, whereas the petrified forest gets a fraction of that. I think there's untapped potential here, and if you agree, let's work together on that.
I definitely agree and look forward to working together.
Siddharth, thank you very much for listening to my feedback. I applaud the work that you and your team have done. Please provide my sincere appreciation to the rest of your team. Thank you.